We're talking NASCAR on Proline TV. Thanks for tuning in as we have ourselves a new race for the NASCAR Cup Series. And it's going to be a street course in San Diego. That's right, the Anduril 250 race. And we'll see how that all goes for Sunday. I know the weather won't be a factor because at this time of year in San Diego, it's never supposed to be a factor. So that's one good thing not to worry about. But we're going to go ahead and we are going to go over all of the drivers as usual, including the heavy favorite, Shane Van Gisbergen. But then we're going to try to do the hard thing, and that is try to find out some other drivers to consider, especially for your fantasy teams, because you got to be putting that together. I'm sure everybody's going to have SVG on it. So what are the other 5 drivers that you're going to accompany SVG with? Well, we'll try to go over that because contests are still dishing out money this week like they do every week at DraftKings and other places like that. So anyway, CJ Radune, welcome back to the show. Good to see you once again from rotowire.com. How's it going?
Going well. Looking forward to a new race. Promises to be a bunch of unknowns and maybe could be one of the more crazy races that we have this season too.
We can only hope. We need something crazy to happen, or SVG is going to make everybody look silly again. Not sure that's what we want, but again, it is what it is. Okay, so a couple of things before we get going. We've been telling everybody, we've been updating everybody about the fact that we've done really well with our picks this year, and it just so turns out that we've actually been a lot better than we originally thought. That's because I completely forgot to add the third race of the season to our picks. I have no idea why I forgot. I just did. It was in February, so I guess it might have been the Super Bowl week. You know, might have been it. I had other things on my mind. And that was a big one because Tyler Reddick was 16-1 when he won that race, and he was my top pick. And so I'm going to go ahead and post up so everybody can see exactly what our picks look like. Keeping in mind, of course, that, CJ and I, we rotate picks. So just because one of us takes the pick and another doesn't mean that the other person wouldn't have wanted the other pick. So we share the picks. We do break it down between CJ's and mine, but still we share the picks in general just so you and we have a total, obviously, so you can see exactly where it all stands. So here is how it looks. And so far, so good. We are over $2,000. So basically what this means is we our plan is each week is to play $100 for the drivers. We pick 3 each. The first driver gets 60, the second gets 30, the third, which is our main long shot, only gets 10, which is why we try to make it a big long shot. And we have hit a long shot this year, as you can see there, with Daniel Suarez, Carson Hocevar. So we had 2 long shot wins at 25-1 at Talladega, Suarez stealing the Coke 600 at 150-1. And so those are not just throwaways. Those really help us make money. And there you go. We're over $2,000. We give up $100 each. So we basically invest $200 each a week. So if we lose on any given week, we're out $200. So it's not easy. Those are the races you also see at the left, which show you the times that we did not win. And I think it's kind of interesting that 4 of those are Tyler Reddick and the other 2 are Denny Hamlin. So it's those damn Toyotas that are getting us this year.
That's not a coincidence either. I think if we look back at the odds of what they went off on, you got Hamlin there at 2-1, another one that's 7-1. I think I see a 6-1 in there as well. That's getting pretty slim when you're talking about NASCAR racing. And yeah, you're right. I mean, Toyota has had everybody beat so far this season. And I said last week when I had the first pick for the first time in 2 weeks that I was going to jump off the Hamlin bandwagon because I had ridden it for 2 straight wins. Didn't think that 3 was possible, especially at 2-1. But here we are today talking about 3 wins in a row for him.
Yes, another Denny Hamlin win, and it wasn't like it was an exciting race. It's Pocono. What are you going to do? So I don't know. It was just still, at least it wasn't a dominant race because it was all about strategy. But, they had the best car, one of the top cars, and it was just a matter of they're a smart team, and that's why they're where they're in, and that's why they're a championship contender because they know what they're doing. but it's not easy. I mean, Denny, really the last couple of weeks, Denny has escaped a couple of near misses where he almost got into an accident. This is why it's not easy.
Yeah, and look at his teammate, Christopher Bell, that's been fast enough to win races, been out front leading, and he's had like the full share of bad luck for the entire organization. He was toward the front at Michigan, ended up getting taken out in an accident, not of his fault. I don't think that's the first time that's happened to him this year. And then last week, just playing the fuel mileage game, like you said, it was a very strategy dependent race right from the outset. Everybody played the strategy game, and that's what we got for the rest of the day. Unfortunately, the one that Christopher Bell and the number 20 team played just ended up being one lap too short. Probably would have finished inside the top 5 were it not for having to run out of fuel and then having to get to pit road just before the final lap there.
Okay, so the good thing too is we don't have to go back to Pocono. We'll see that next year.
Yep.
But we'll see how things are going now as far as the playoff standings. And we have about 10 races left. One more before the challenge kicks in for 5 races. And then we'll have the remaining 4 races of the regular season, ending with the Daytona race, which is, pretty exciting before the playoffs begin. And of course, Tyler Reddick continues to lead, even though Denny Hamlin has made it a race now for the regular season title. Not that I think anybody outside, I guess, of those particular drivers making extra money, whatever, but no one really cares unless you got a wager. I don't even know if NASCAR, I don't even know if you can find a NASCAR regular season odds. I'm sure you can in Vegas. I don't know if you can find it on a sports book. I'm sure that's something out there. And it's a 2-driver race right now. But what everybody's interested in, of course, is the playoffs. And taking a look here, I guess I could probably stop right about there. You think? Shane Van Gisbergen at 14?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Okay. And then you have, let's see, there's only 10 points between Keselowski and Shane Van Gisbergen.
Yeah, it's getting really, really tight around the cutoff. I mean, at the top, you got Reddick and Hamlin that are streaking away almost 150 points ahead of Ryan Blaney, though Hamlin is making a race of it. He got it down to under 20 with another win last week, even though Tyler Reddick continues to score top 5 finishes. So really the stage points and then the race wins for Denny Hamlin has been cutting into that. But if you look at around the bubble, Eric Jones, with a couple of weeks of really good performances, has worked his way inside the top 16. He's tied with Austin Cindric right on the bubble there, and they're only 4 points ahead of Brad Keselowski, who we've talked about the past couple of weeks, kind of hitting a rough patch. He was up in the playoff positions, but with Jones doing better, Cindric even taking a step forward a little bit as well. Keselowski's slipped down a bit. You still got Joey Logano in there, who's just had more than his fair share of bad luck, kind of like Christopher Bell so far this season. Something's got to turn around there. And then certainly guys like Ryan Preece, Michael McDowell, they're still in it for a chance, as well as AJ Allmendinger. However, they're going to need some stuff to really turn around, if not get a race win, in order to get themselves back that 50 points that they're behind the cut line right now at.
Yeah, that's how you do it. I mean, you're probably going to have to win a couple of races if you're in the position like Zane Smith, who is fast. We've seen it. We saw it again at Pocono, and then maybe he was too fast for his own good and was unable to keep the car straight and spun out and ended up in the wall. So it shows you he's just maybe trying a little bit too hard. But you mentioned Keselowski. I mean, he's been so bad in the last month, and yet he's still only 4 points out of the playoff spot. I mean,
yeah, really good start to the season, really strong. We were talking about him looking like a potential race winner this year, but just the past couple of weeks, things have not gone their way. It's interesting because the Fords overall have clearly been behind. Toyota's been the fastest. Chevrolet is starting to catch them. Ford were kind of out in the wilderness. But you look at Ryan Blaney and you look at Chris Buescher, despite them not having the equipment to be able to compete with the Toyotas at the front of the field for race wins, they're still maximizing their results. I would say Zane Smith kind of falls in that category too, a little bit more inconsistent. But it takes, accepting when you've got a 10th place car and bringing home a 10th place finish. And that's not been what Keselowski's been able to do these past couple of weeks, which is why he's slid down.
And I think you could probably draw a line here at Austin Dillon as far as any driver that has a outside chance of getting in. They must at least win once and then have a nice string of maybe some more top fives. But other than that, it's a small field, and it's really hard for any of these drivers. Even in the 200s. I mean, it's going to be really hard, but it can be done. I guess we'll see. And most likely people would believe that. You got Keselowski and Logano in that position, and those are the two experienced Cup champs that'll probably figure out a way at some point to get it done, unless some of these other drivers up here, like SVG, who has the beneficiary of just one more road course two. So that's going to make things a lot easier for SVG. I'd be surprised if he's not in because of that. So it's up then to Austin Cindric and Eric Jones, who you mentioned, maybe even Bubba. Bubba needs to continue to drive well because he gets off to a good start this season, but then really hasn't been anything like the driver he was early in the season. So you never know. He's also going to have to sweat things out if he has any bad races, especially with these road courses coming up. We got back-to-back road courses. I mean, a street race and a road course, and a lot of bad can happen in two races.
Yeah, and Wallace isn't exactly known for his road course racing skills. And unfortunately, he's had the car, same teammates with Reddick. He's been up there at the front early in the season, but again, share of bad luck, caught in an accident again. Seems to always find contact for whatever reason, or frequently finds contact, which is why he's behind. But I think when you start talking about the guys that are 200 points and they're 50 points behind. So to dominate a day, a race, winning both stages in the race, you're going to get 60 some points or whatever. So you can make that up in 1 week, but you've got to count on other people having problems as well. And you've got to do that consistently, like you said. So you're really talking about a stretch of 3 or 4 races where you've got to win, and then you've got some top 5 finishes in there with no missteps. So that's going to be really hard to do with 10 races left to go, and 2 of them being road courses.
Okay, well, let's start talking about one of them, the Anduril 250. And do you know what Anduril is?
I knew you were going to ask me, and I have absolutely no idea what Anduril is.
Okay. Well, it's a defense tech company.
All right, there we go.
Which makes sense considering it's in San Diego.
Now we got it. Yep.
Okay, so odds, favorite. What's the line?
SVG, put him at 250.
Holy crap. Whoa, this ain't F1, man. You mean plus 250?
Oh my gosh. Wow.
No. Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Wow.
That's
negative for him. Yeah, I was not expecting negative. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, at plus 250, that would have been, I'll take it. Let me put my money on him right now. He was even money. I think he was even money. I'm trying to remember I know he was even money at one of the races that we did. I just don't remember. Let's see. I have it on the thing that we just posted. Let's see. Where did I have that? SVG was even money at Watkins Glen. And let me see. Where is the damn thing? And the first one was the Texas race, COTA. So let's see. That one, he was also even money. So he's been even money at the 2 road courses, and now he's at -1. Well, he's -150 on the sportsbook, -160 here. So, yep. Now it's like at the point where they're saying, no, you can't bet him.
Yeah.
You got to go somewhere else. Of course. Now, look, I've already invested in him. And again, I've already explained this to viewers who have been with us a while. The only way I try to invest money from these types of low lines is, like, for instance, Brendan Sorsby decides he's going to go to the NFL. So what I did was I instantly looked at the Big 12 lines, and I looked at the teams that are in contention to win the Big 12 championship. And I saw that there was about three teams that I felt were capable of being in the championship game and playing Texas Tech. Well, now if they play Texas Tech in the championship game, they're going to have a much better chance because Sorsby's not there. And they're going to a young kid who is coming off an ACL injury and has never been a starter for the team. So that's a lot of risk. And so I said, you know what? You know what I'll do? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put a parlay with 3 of those teams, and Notre Dame right now is about 7-1 to win the national championship. So one of those teams, for instance, was Arizona State at 22-1. The other was Notre Dame at 7-1. SVG's at -150. I put $10 down on that. I'd make $3,000. So that's the only way I feel that I'm going to be able to take advantage. And I'm not going to put any straight money on it. I can't do it. I mean, we were having a hard time last week with Denny Hamlin at 2-1, let alone even money, which he went off at race time, then -160. So
this is crazy. Yeah, makes it really, really tough. I mean, your option here, with the rules that we have set up for our picks, if we choose them, we're just basically going for the win and trying to limit our losses overall. That's tough to do.
That's all it is. Yeah. And you know what? We're up $2,000 already. If we have to lose a couple $100 this week for the next 2 weeks, then I guess that's the thing I think you also have to look at. You have to play the strategy game over the next 2 weeks. You got to say, as long as he doesn't win both of them, then we got to find a driver, because I don't really think there's going to be a whole lot of, well, we're at Sonoma, so I'm going to look at someone else. I'm not really thinking that way. It's almost like, you know what, whoever I'm probably going to take this week, I'm probably just going to go ahead and do it for Sonoma. I know there are differences in the track, and I get all that, but for the most part, I think if you stick with that strategy, then you get to use the same drivers, and that means that you get the chance this week and the chance next week. If you start picking and choosing both weeks, then your averages go down. So that's just the way I'm going to do it, and hope that SVG doesn't win one of these 2 weeks. So we'll start with Connor Zilisch, who continues to get crazy odds, considering he's having a really tough year as a rookie, but we knew this was going to be the case. He's been in 3 races so far in the Cup Series road courses, and he's never had a top 10. So I'm going to put 6-1 odds on a rookie who's never had a top 10 in a road course race before. No, we're not doing that.
Is he going to run at the front, and does he have the potential to score a top 10 finish this weekend? Absolutely. But again, same thing as we talked about when SVG was coming into this series. Nobody doubts his ability and the fact that he'll get up there at some point, but he's got to take the time to figure it out. And until that time happens, probably shouldn't be throwing your money away at it. You'll have plenty of chances once he's up there. He's not going anywhere anytime soon. I think he's got a lot of potential, and he's going to be here. So just be patient right now. We talked about SVG and why you wouldn't go that direction this week if you're just doing a single bet. I think there are going to be several potential long shots here that we can talk about that are good road course racers and at a place that you've never raced at before. Long track, some technical sections, some bumping and banging. It looks like it's going to be possible in certain corners. Why not go for one of the longer shots with the potential bigger payout? Just wait until Connor gets his feet under him, figures out this Cup thing, and he's on a better string of results than he is right now.
Now, Tyler Reddick is a really good example of why you should be thinking about Reddick over Zilisch for sure. Reddick has been a proven driver in the Cup Series for road courses, and I get it, it's a street race, but 18 career top 10s in 26 road course races. 9 of those top 5s, and the 3 wins, including the Coda win earlier this year. So, and we know he's still the top driver on the planet with the wins and everything. He's still competing for wins, finishing up close, top 5s and all that. And you're getting 9-1. It's not a bad number.
Yeah, just comparing street course to street course, Chicago 3 starts. He started 4th and 2nd, 4th twice, 2nd once. Finished 2nd and 3rd in the last 2, and had an incident in the first one. So Tyler Reddick, again, with the road course win earlier this season, been looking very, very strong on road courses. He's one of the non-road course springers that I think is approaching some of the greats that we've talked about in the past, like a Martin Truex Jr. and a Chase Elliott. So Tyler Reddick, definitely somebody worth considering this week. Seems to have a top 5 in him regardless of his situation every single week, regardless of the track.
And the good news to have SVG's line be so incredibly low. And then to have a 6-1 driver that, hey, if he beats me, he beats me, that makes a lot of the other drivers a lot more valuable when it comes to odds. Matter of fact, if SVG was not even here in the series, this is the reason why it's kind of tough right now with the road courses, because if SVG wasn't here, every single road course race, there would be like 10 drivers that we can say could win. And you would have favorites like you do at every track, but there would be drivers that we would go, hey, just like every week, hey, you never know. And this could be this guy, could be that guy, could be that guy. But because of SVG, it just is what it is. And I don't see that changing. I don't think that the other drivers who we're going to start talking about now are all of a sudden going to start getting really good at road course racing. I just don't see it. So this is just a problem I think they're going to have to deal with for a very long time. And especially once Connor starts catching up to Shane, it's going to be like those two guys battling it out 6 times a year for wins. And who the heck wants to see that? Of course, we'll get like one probably a year where Reddick or someone else will probably win. But, anyway, let's go through the rest of the drivers and show you what we're talking about. So right here, again, we got more pretty good value on these drivers. I mean, Michael McDowell this year has finished 2nd and 5th, and he was a really good 2nd at Watkins Glen. He hung in there 2nd the entire race behind SVG. It wasn't like he was getting blown out or anything like that. So that's good. Then you got Gibbs, who has 2 top 5s this year on the road courses and was good on the road courses last year. And you're getting 16-1. Kyle Larson is getting a big number. He is starting to get things going again. 3 top 5s out of his last 4 on the season. Still behind, though, strangely enough, on the road courses. See, this is the kind of thing that's kind of strange in a way, because with Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott, drivers like that, like we know they're capable of being really good in road courses. But for some reason, Chevy, I got to believe it's the car. But for some reason lately, maybe it's the next gen car, that they just haven't been the same dominant. And look, nobody's saying that they're going to be dominant with SVG around. But just because he's winning races doesn't mean you can't finish 2nd and 3rd and 4th every week. And they're just not even having, consistent top 5s or anything like that. And then Chris Buescher is at 22-1. He really hasn't shown much on the road courses this year. So I think there are other drivers I'd probably look at. So even with these 4 drivers, I'd probably look at Gibbs and McDowell for sure as 2 drivers that have good value.
Yeah, and I'd actually put Gibbs at the top of this list. Very strong on almost any kind of road course. Great pedigree coming up from the O'Reilly series. If you look at his Chicago Street Course record, 3 races, 9th, 3rd, and 2nd. Qualified 12th, 2nd, and 9th in that same span, led a combined 18 laps. So he's no slouch, especially at places that are new. He ended up finishing 9th in that first Chicago race when everybody was experiencing it for the first time. And that's exactly what you're going to get this weekend. So Ty Gibbs definitely at the top there for me. Like you said, Michael McDowell, very impressive at Watkins Glen, and that's become standard. We expect Michael McDowell to punch above his weight when we come to road courses. And given the fact, again, that this is the first time people are seeing this track, these skills that these guys have, like Michael McDowell has, is going to put them even further up. So I would expect Michael McDowell to be up there. I think Ty Gibbs is going to be my top of this bunch, though, just because of how he performed specifically at Chicago.
Yeah, Kyle Larson, by the way, with 9 top 5s and 6 wins in his career in road course racing, over 39 races. So we expect a little bit more out of those guys. Okay, next group. We have even some more and better value. AJ Allmendinger, who is actually... AJ is, where is he? On my sportsbook, he's 33-1 at my sportsbook. So you're getting excellent value for AJ. We know how competitive he can be. This is really his best course, his best chance to win races. And he's done well this year. He's been in the top 10 in both races. Then you have Christopher Bell, a really valuable 28-1 for Christopher Bell. who was third at Coda, and he's more than capable of competing on road courses. We know that. Again, that's what I'm saying. You're getting really good value with these drivers. Christopher Bell has 10 career top fives and 4 runner-ups with a couple of wins over 26 races on the roads. And then you even have the other Elliott, the other Chevy we were talking about, Chase Elliott at 28-1. He was 7th at Coda, did not have a good day at Watkins Glen. But Chase has had a nice season. He has had his best season in several years. He has 18 career top fives and 5 wins on road courses over 36 races, and you're getting 28-1.
These are some really good choices, and this of the tops, I would put Allmendinger and Bell. Allmendinger, like you said, always fighting for it at the road courses. This is a place where he can even outdo his top 10 finishes on the road courses that he's had this year, because the playing field is going to be even more level than it has been at those other tracks. So I expect a bit more from AJ Allmendinger this week. But I think when you really look under the covers, Bell is a supremely good choice. You might scoff at his record at Chicago through the 3 races of the street course. His average finish was 26.3, but you look at his average start of 8th, and he led a combined 51 laps in the 3 races. And these are road course races. These aren't the oval races where you have 100 and some laps to go. That's a lot of laps led out front at a road course. So Christopher Bell, talked about him at the beginning. He's got the speed. He's just got to get past the bad luck. Punches above his weight for sure at road courses, and I think at a street course that really suits him quite well. So hopefully these odds are taking into account his poor finishes at Chicago, which he can outperform this week at San Diego.
All right, let's move on. And we're starting to get close to the end of our value drivers. Can't have them all. But we have some more. I mean, I think Chase Briscoe is pretty good here at 30-1. He was 4th at Watkins Glen. He led 8 laps at Coda. And so I just think, over time with Joe Gibbs, I think he's going to pop up even more so because he's had a decent career on the road courses, over 25 races. He has 9 top 10s. And 3 top 5s. He was also a runner-up at Sonoma last year. So, like we said, we got to look ahead. Sonoma's next week. Maybe you might want to think about Chase Briscoe the next 2 weeks. And maybe he gets it in one of these 2 weeks as a big long shot. Ryan Blaney is another one that has performed pretty decently over his career on the road courses. 8th at Coda, 11th at Watkins Glen this year. Blaney also has been 11th or better in 6 straight races this season coming in. Chastain, still don't like where he's going, even though it's finally got a top 10 last week. So maybe that'll get him going. But I don't really see him as a value compared to the others. And Denny Hamlin, who was 10th at Coda and does have, I think, 1 win in the road course over his history, is not going to win 4 in a row. Let's just put that out there.
It'd be tough for him to do it at a road course. I think Denny Hamlin, solid top 10 kind of play at a road course like this, but you got some other guys that we've talked about for sure that should be outrunning him. Chastain, it was nice to see him get a top 10, but I agree with you. I think he struggled all of this season up until this point. And even if you look back at Watkins Glen, he started on the second row, but fell all the way back to 27th place by the end. Did have a top 10 in his last Chicago race, so started 22nd and came forward to 10. He's got a road course win as well, so no question that he can do it. Just right now, not racing very well. And like you said, I'd hope that after last week's top 10, we see a little bit more, and then maybe that trend starts to change for him in these last 10 races before we get to the chase. And then last one I'd probably call out, I do think Chase Briscoe is a good one as well, but I think, like I said before, Ryan Blaney's just getting the most out of his equipment, and the problem is that he doesn't have the equipment of Denny Hamlin or Tyler Reddick at this point. So he's been very consistent. I would see him as another top 10 contender, and that's basically what he's shown throughout all these road course races, including Chicago, if you look back at the history there. So maybe, if there's a little bit of chaos, maybe somebody like Ryan Blaney, since he's been nice, smooth, and consistent in the top 10. Maybe he can find an opportunity to move a little bit forward. I'd probably put him and Briscoe at the top of my list of these four.
Yeah, and remember, Chastain was in that situation that we talked about where even though he started in the top 10 at Watkins Glen, he like told, or at least this is what the broadcast team had found out, that, oh, we don't have the car to compete with SVG, so we're just going to gobble up stage points. And then, and then that'll take us away from even finishing in the top 10. We'll just end up in the back of the pack because of the way things change when you have to decide on that. And that's always I think the interesting part. And I'm kind of surprised in a way that other drivers and other teams just haven't been able to strategically figure out and luck themselves in. I mean, Christopher Bell did it, where you can time the strategy right to beat SVG on these road courses, depending on how you do it. And obviously you want to make sure that whatever you do, he doesn't do, which sometimes, which really is more than likely possible because he's going to be ahead of you more than likely in the first stage. And then whatever he does, maybe you don't do. I don't know. There's got to be some way that these guys can figure out some sort of strategy. But I know you need luck involved with that as well, but we just haven't seen many teams figure that out yet.
Yeah, and I think when you talk about doing that, you're really only talking about either the guys that are so far out of it that need some kind of magic to happen in order to get into chase contention, or they're the ones that are confident that they're going to make it so that they can take the gamble. And I think you're talking about Christopher Bell on up, so like the top 10 in the standings. So if there's anybody that can do it, it's Christopher Bell. Just come out. What it requires is, as soon as the race starts, do everything the opposite of what SVG does. And to do that right from the start, knowing that you're going to give up stage points from lap 1 before you even take the green flag, that's a big pill to swallow. So there are only small groups of drivers that can do it. And when you put that together with the skills and the equipment to be able to actually carry it all the way through to the end, you're really talking about somebody like Christopher Bell, who has yet to win this year, who has the capability to go out there and do something completely different. Chris Buescher falls into that category. Ty Gibbs has already won, so he's got the luxury of being able to do something like that. I would like to see some of these more competitive teams do exactly what you said. From lap 1, whatever SVG does, we're going to do the opposite. And then, wait until you get to that final stage and see how things shake out. And really, that's the only way you're going to have a chance to beat them at a straight up fight without some kind of chaos going on.
Yeah, I think what happens is they just, let's just take our points and call it a day. And that's too many of the drivers feel that way, or teams. And that's not what we're hoping for. Okay. We're not going to talk. Who the heck is Kevin Magnussen?
Oh, come on. Kevin Magnussen, former Formula One driver. He's going to have a really tough time coming into this series. He's been doing a lot of GT racing, so it's a little bit more close to what you'd expect a NASCAR car to handle like, but he's got a big learning curve. Exceptional driver. Dad is Jan Magnussen, another sports car great, but Kevin Magnussen was just racing at the 24 Hours of Le Mans last week. Now he's going to be in San Diego racing NASCAR this week.
At least the odds make sense. They're
Yes.
not doing anything silly with his odds. Okay. Now we're going with some of the other deep long shots. And out of all of these other long shots here, Cindric, I guess he could be interesting because we know he's capable on the road courses. He was 9th at Watkins Glen. He has a lot of production over his career, even though a lot of it has been in the O'Reilly series. And then the only other ones I would look at, and remember, a lot of this has to also do with your fantasy lineups, is you might want to consider John Hunter Nemechek and Eric Jones again. If you look at that, they're both dialed in, especially Jones. And John Hunter was 6th at Mexico, which was last year, I believe. The Mexico race, was that last year?
I believe so.
And then also you take a look at the fact that Hunter was 10th, I believe, at COTA this year. So he's had a couple of decent results this year. He's coming off his 4th place finish, and we know Eric Jones is hot. So that's the only drivers, the deep ones and really cheap drivers that are going to be on your fantasy rosters that I would look at. And Cindric might not be bad either, considering he's a big long shot. And I probably wouldn't, once again, rule out Zane Smith as someone that could actually, I know he doesn't have a great history overall, but I still like the way that the team goes. So anyway, any of these other really big long shots that you think you'll consider fantasy-wise?
I would put Austin Dillon in that category. If you look at what he did at Watkins Glen, he started 25th and came all the way forward to 6th at the finish. And we've seen him at the front, not leading necessarily, but, you know, among the top 10, top 5 at times at these places like Chicago and some of the other road courses from time to time. It's not like he's consistently there, but getting yourself the track position to be able to capitalize if things break your way is part of the game. And Austin Dillon seemed to be able to do that. So I wouldn't put it past him if you're looking for these really deep ones. And definitely from a fantasy perspective, depending upon what his price comes out, it's probably going to be pretty low, probably not as low as Zane Smith or Eric Jones, but Dillon will be pretty far down there, and he'd probably be a pretty good pick this weekend.
Okay, let's go ahead and go with our picks. So I have the first pick this week, and I have hit on both of my road course races this year, but I just can't. I don't think I'm going to go 6 for 6 because I just can't do minus 150 or right 160. I just can't do it. So let's see who then should. Well, you know what? I think it's between, at least with the odds, because honestly, I think that all of those bargain drivers, like from Gibbs, McDowell, Elliott, Bell, Briscoe, AJ specifically, I put them all in one group. Where Reddick is like, he deserves to be kind of ahead of those guys. You know, I'm going to go ahead and take Reddick. I'm just going to do it. He came through for me the first time, and he's the most proven of these. And I don't think 9-1 is bad. So
Reddick would have been my top choice if I were picking first, given these odds. So I wholeheartedly agree with that. And since you chose Reddick, I will go ahead and take Ty Gibbs, because I think he was in position to be able to win at Watkins Glen, but ended up having to slow down a little bit. Nurse's equipment saved some fuel, ended up third still that day. He was competitive, like I said, at Chicago on the street courses. He was been great on road courses in the O'Reilly days. He's got a win under his belt, so let's go Ty Gibbs this week.
Okay, yeah, I mean, and if we had it opposite, I would have went with Gibbs second as well. So we like Gibbs and Reddick as our top 2 choices here. And now it comes down to those other 5, I think, that we talked about. And I'm just trying to see here, because what I want to do is I'd like to do like a double if I could do that, as I mentioned, with the next two races. So, but you know what? These odds are pretty big, and we're going to be able to use them for the third place too. So I'm going to go ahead with Elliott.
Okay. I like Elliott. I'm going to take Bell, same range. I was thinking very similar. I just think I would have gone Bell over Elliott. Elliott was definitely in that conversation, but I think Bell just showing what he's been capable of the past couple of weeks, just waiting for him to get that breakthrough.
And then I'm going to, this is going to be between Briscoe and AJ. So I'm going to go ahead and take Briscoe.
But yeah, we have the same 2 again. So you leave me Allmendinger.
Okay, there you go.
Crazy.
Yeah. And then the only one we left out, which is definitely, I think, a good contender, is McDowell.
Yep.
Who's sitting there at 14-1. So we can't take them all.
Yep.
But the good thing is, even though we can't take them all on the show, we can take as many as we want when we're going up on our sports books. And I guarantee you that, I just think, hey, why not? All these odds are pretty big. I'll be able to throw a couple of bucks on 6 of these drivers because the odds are so big, and just put a little bit more money on the ones that I really like the most. So there you go. Okay. And as far as the long shots of the group, let's say you had to go with the driver, because we didn't need to, but let's say we go with the driver that is a 50-1 or higher long shot. Where are we? Yeah, what's anywhere from here, 55 from Magnussen on, who would you have picked for a long shot?
Yeah, I really like Daniel Suarez right there. Former road course winner, really making a lot of hay with Spire Motorsports right now. So no reason that he can't be up there, but there are a couple down there as well that I think could equally do as well. I think Logano wouldn't be a terrible choice aside from his bad luck that he had. But there are a lot of choices down here. I'd probably put Suarez at the top just because he's a former road course winner and he's really in good form with Spire right now.
I like that one. I also like that one because Suarez has one career win on a road course, and it happened to be at Sonoma.
Yeah, do the double.
So if you want to double Suarez this week and next week, do it. I know we will. So there you go. Suarez is another good long shot to keep an eye on. Other ones that we talked about are Cindric, and then the Jones, John Hunter Nemechek duo there. If you're looking for not just a long shot to win the race, but obviously these are all drivers we're talking about that should be pretty decently inexpensive for your fantasy teams. And we'll talk more about that on Saturday when we do the update. We go over the qualifying and the practice speeds and all that stuff, and then the updated odds. And then we'll take a look at the final team that I'll try to put together myself and other options that you might want to consider when we do it on Saturday. Okay, so there you go. That's the and we just don't know anything else about the track, right? There's nothing that we can share to the viewers regarding this layout, or they told us anything that we should be aware of.
It is a long course, so it's 3.4 miles, if I'm not mistaken, 16 turns. There are some tight sections, so narrow. There are also some wide sections. It looks like the longer straightaways kind of end in tight turns. So certainly a couple of passing areas that are there, but some of the other chicanes, other slower turns, it's going to be really tough to have some passing in there. I suspect that's where the track kind of narrows down a bit. I think the other thing that is going to be really key and everybody's going to be talking about this weekend is that the simulation seems to show that the surface is really bumpy. And with a road course, maximizing mechanical grip is paramount. If your wheels are not on the ground because of the bumps, then you're going to have a really hard time maximizing your mechanical grip. So I think a lot of teams are going to be playing a lot with the shock settings as we go throughout the weekend, trying to figure things out. And you might see a lot of mistakes if it's really that bumpy. You might see a lot of mistakes under braking, which could cause some havoc once the race gets underway on Sunday.
All right.
Longest road courses, just from a 3.4 mile standpoint, it might even be the longest course on the schedule. I'm not sure. Yeah, it is actually, because they cut down Circuit of the Americas. They shaved off that back half.
And there are, how many laps are there? 75, or is that too much? What am I 75 in my head for some reason.
Let me see here. Feels like a lot, but with NASCAR, they tend to overdo it. So let me see if I can find that.
And in the meanwhile, I will be on, can keep this in mind. Practice is going to be Friday. So they're going to do practice at 5:00 on Friday. And then the qualifying run will be for an hour on Saturday between 2:30 and 3:30. So if you're tuning in, I don't know if they're going to give us the odds that early. I hope they will. What they usually do is after qualifying comes the O'Reilly race, wherever that's going to be. Do you know where the O'Reilly race is this week?
Everything is in San Diego, and the race is 75 laps. So you had that number spot on in your head, total of 255 miles.
Okay. So yeah, what'll probably happen is, and what happens each week is most of them don't want to put the odds out until the O'Reilly race is done. And then as soon as that's done, and the odds pop up. So that's when I usually try to schedule the show, because it takes me about an hour after the odds pop up to put everything together. So that's why we've been doing the show about sometime between 7 and 9 Eastern every Saturday. So that's more than likely what we'll do again this Saturday. And then next week, it'll be Sonoma. And next week starts that all exciting in-season challenge that we're all waiting for breathlessly. Sonoma, Chicagoland, Atlanta, North Wilkesboro, and the Brickyard. So at least for the 2 weeks after Sonoma, it should be interesting with Chicagoland and Atlanta.
Definitely looking forward to going back to Chicagoland. I think this car works really well on the 1.5 mile ovals that we used to complain about in the past. So Chicago is one of those, which is why it came off the schedule. But with this car, high hopes that it races relatively well. Still a little bit heavily aerodynamic dependent, and that track will require aerodynamics and clean air. So track position will be key, but I think we'll see a better Chicagoland race, certainly better than the street course has been.
So we haven't heard from Lana in a while.
Hey,
and Lana, what's that?
Good to see her again.
Yes. Must be busy with her boyfriend. So Lana, or her dogs. So Lana wanted to know about, she didn't want to know about this. She just said this. And I figured, well, we might as well put our input in because she can only use SVG this week or next week. What would you do?
I'd go this week. SVG at a street course, especially one that nobody has ever raced at, his skills are worth so much more at a place like Sonoma that everyone else knows really well. Yes, he won Sonoma last year, led every lap in a dominant fashion. But if you look at his record up until last year at that track, it wasn't exactly great. So I would definitely use him this week if I were you.
All right, there you go. So there's some advice, take it or leave it. And hopefully CJ's wrong. Well, because we don't want SVG to win either race, to tell you the truth. But
with the
what's
odds,
that?
With the odds the way they are.
Yeah, with the odds the way they are. And look, if he loses this week, maybe his odds will go back to being even next week. And then we could take him. We'd rather that happen.
For sure.
So we'd actually rather have the opposite happen to what advice you're giving to Lana, which again is accurate advice and maybe the way things will go. But yeah, we'd prefer a loss this week, and then his odds go back down. We take him in Sonoma. He wins that, and we benefit in both races. So let's see if that could happen. And there you go. So that's no F1 this week. There'll be in Austria next week.
Yes, going to Austria, and really lucky full course caution for Lewis Hamilton just came right at the perfect time for him to consolidate his track position to be able to get his first win of the season and first win for Ferrari.
And his odds weren't that bad.
No,
because I know he wasn't the favorite or two.
Yep, absolutely. So
we'll see what that and the World Cup is going on. I know it has nothing to do with motorsports, but it is something that we only get to talk once a week. So very happy about how things went with the Team USA. And now that the rest of the, not all of them, because Germany just wiped the planet for their team they played, but for Brazil and Spain to struggle a little bit. And even France struggled. No, or are they playing today?
France is playing right now. I will not be a spoiler for everybody that is
okay.
Waiting to get home from work to watch that game, but France is playing right now.
So anyway, the bottom line is that there seems to be some chink in the armor of some of these powerhouses. So does that give us even more hope that if they keep playing the way that they played, and that's still a big if, it's only been one game, but if they just keep playing the way that they played the other day, that they could be a semifinal team?
I've been watching soccer and USA soccer for a very long time. And what we saw last Friday out of that team was hands down the best full game performance from a U.S. men's team that I've ever seen. They were playing fantastic. For the first half, absolutely everything was going their way. And then in the second half, you knew the storm was coming. They were able to weather it. Yes, they had some mistakes, and yes, they have some areas to clean up. And yes, the competition is going to get harder. But if they just continue to stick together and play the way that they played that first half and throughout that entire game and not fall apart, I think they're in for a long run. I don't know that they're, tournament winner quality, but we're talking a deep run, potentially to semifinals. if they can keep that level of playing that high, because it was just exceptional. It was world class what you saw on Friday. Really hope that they can keep it together. I think sometimes some teams take a little bit of time to ease into the tournament to get going. Argentina lost their first match last year, and they came back and won every single match after that, including the final. So just because you stumble at the first block out of the gate doesn't mean that your tournament is over, but it sure as heck makes it a lot easier if you're able to start off with a win like the United States did.
And it's basically after each, so they're in this group stage now. Mm-hmm. So the more they win and the more goals they score differential, the better, the weaker the opponent they'll play in the next round.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. And what happens after that then?
Then it's all knockout. Then it's a straight bracket.
How do you know who you play though? Is it bracketed?
It is bracketed. So you can look up now, like the winner and second place of each group will face the winner. And
so after the group stage, everything's bracketed from then on.
Yep, exactly.
Okay. It's just that first opponent is the one that you know will be the best possible opponent to play, depending how good you are in the group stage. And then everything after that, well, you'll know it's going to be one of two teams is going to be your next opponent, and so forth and so on.
It gets harder every single step of the way. Yep, but that's effectively how it works.
All right. So anyway, when's the next match? Is it next Thursday?
Friday at 3:00.
Interesting time
for the United States. So this Friday, 3:00.
Are they going to be on the East Coast?
I think they're in Seattle, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
California for their final game.
So they're staying out west for all of their games in the group?
Yep. They're actually in California too. So their training camp or their hotel site, whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
Well, so you've got Spain, I think, down by you, Chattanooga. You got a couple others in the Carolinas. Ohio has Ecuador. Interesting. So, United States pretty much on the West Coast until they get out of the group stage, which it's happening this year.
And they'll be playing Turkey the next week. That'll be a late one. I already know that. That's like 10:00 or something like that.
10:00. Yep.
Okay. Anyway, good luck to them. Obviously, they're 40-1, by the way, to win the cup. 40-1. It's a good number. It's deserving. It's not great value. It's even though it's 40-1, because to do that, to win the whole thing would be just. To win the whole thing, they really should be like 100-1. Like that, it just seems like an impossible thing for them to do. That's why it's like you're not getting incredible value, but still, it's a big number. And I just hope that they could make it to at least the semis. I think that'd be awesome. I think the country would be pretty stoked if they did that.
Absolutely huge. Yeah. Best team, like I said, best game I've ever seen a U.S. men's team play. So let's see how they do it step by step.
Yeah. And let's not have to worry about Germany for a while. So, all right. Anyway, that'll do it. Thanks for tuning in here to our NASCAR coverage. I'll see you guys on Saturday. Don't forget, link in the description of this video right now. You can hook up with CJ's RotoWire page. That's where all of his reports come out every Friday for his DFS strategy on this week's race. If you want to wait until Saturday for our live show, then you'll see a link in the description of that video, which will go directly to the page, once again, that will have the updated report. Of course, the updated report, if you go there now, will not be there until Friday, but you can still get it 24 hours earlier if you do it that way. And then I think that's it for, and then I'll be back also on Proline TV in conjunction with our lads on Friday for the football coverage. So you can check me out over on the Our Lads Football Network. Matter of fact, I have an interview tonight. I'm going to talk some Houston Texans football. So a bunch of interviews going on for the next several months leading up to the NFL, previewing both the NFL and college football. So check that out at the Our Lads Football Network. And we'll see you over there, or of course here at Proline TV. And you can also check out my US Open golf report that I did last night, which is definitely relevant for the next couple of days until the US Open begins on Thursday for you golf fans. So that'll do it. CJ and I will be back again next Tuesday for another road course preview of Sonoma. And until then, hopefully I'll see everybody.